Well, this one's gonna be a homecoming of sorts. Behind us we have Lake Winnebago, and originally I'm from the East Shore, and I brought good friend Brian down along, who actually still lives on the East Shore, but this is the time of year where the fish start sliding off the structure and into the mud basin. And what I mean by the mud basin is literally pretty much the entire middle of Lake Winnebago. And those fish can be tough to find, but over the past few days, Brian's been out, he's starting to locate those open water fish, and he's pulling flicker minnows, which is kind of unheard of right now. It's a pretty new bait at this time of year, but we're gonna go out there, try to track down those open water fish, crank up the speed with some crankbaits, and see if we can't show you the next bite.
Just looking for the next bite, next bite, next bite. Just looking for the next bite.
Lake Winnebago is a diverse fishery in the state of Wisconsin, actually being the largest inland lake in the state at roughly 138,000 acres. And it can provide great walleye fishing throughout the whole year. Ice fishing's pretty decent, and then of course when the spring run happens, the Fox River in Oshkosh goes all the way up to Butamore, Lake Poygan, and then all the way up into the Wolf River those walleyes go, and you can actually have great fishing up there as soon as the season opens. And they'll actually move their way back down to Lake Winnebago and spread out over the structure. A lot of different reefs. There's some great weed areas, a lot of good weed fish to be had in this lake. And then of course as the summer moves on, the fish will spread out into the mud basin and just kind of go wherever, chasing bait out here. A lot of water to fish, no matter what time of year it is. You can have fun catching a lot of walleyes.
Before exploring how professional tournament anglers Chase Parsons and Brian Dawn are picking apart this vast muddy basin as they locate schools of walleyes.
What do you think?
Another little guy, I think.
Little guy? Don't be so negative.
It's very important to note the entire process starts with grinding out whatever crankbait profile seems to trigger bites, and that doesn't always mean matching the hatch.
Oh, there's one, Chase.
Without a doubt, one of the main forages for walleyes is some type of minnow. It can be shad, can be smelt, can be Cisco. It really depends on what type of system you're in. But of course, one of the best things to look at is what that main forage in each system is. Specifically for Winnebago, it's shad. So you can always start out with that type of bait, but always be open-minded when it comes to the different forages and the different baits you can run for catching more walleyes. Oh, look at that. On Pink Lemonade. Oh, Brian, middle right here.
Ooh, that looks like a nice one. Let me clear this for you.
Yep. Yeah, it feels all right.
Nice fish?
Yeah.
A little bit of weight there.
Yeah, we got 70 back on this one.
Get that for you. Staying down?
Yeah, feels like the right kind. 30 right now, Brian. Stay on, baby.
There we go.
All right. Oh, that's a good
Nice fish. Get him unhooked real quick. That's a nice
a good fish right there, man.
It's a quality Winnebago walleye.
I'll tell you what, it's not a huge one, but in tournaments, which you fish a lot of them out here, that's one that a lot of times you need to round out that limit when you got a few bigger ones.
Yeah,
so
that's a perfect size fish.
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
Complete the basket. About 5 or 6 years ago, Berkeley came out with a lure called the flicker shad. This is a perfectly matched lure for a shad-based forage system like Lake Winnebago system we're fishing today. Lately, we've started trolling with the flicker minnow. This is more of a minnow style bait, longer profile, and it's been surprisingly working very well even with this shad-based forage. And even more surprisingly is we are trolling with number 9s, which is a larger lure that most people don't think would work out here. You could troll the purple edelwife when it's cloudy, the purple Bengal, and when it gets sunny out, you can troll the green edelwife or the pink lemonade, which today has been by far the best.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury, #1 on the water. Amsoil, performance for serious adventure. Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Berkeley, catch more fish. And Motor Guide, trolling motors engineered for anglers. Closed captioning for the next bite is provided by Power Pole, the ultimate in shallow water anchors. Using bigger crankbaits doesn't only mean that bigger walleyes will bite.
You know, the wind picked up and the action's picked up a little bit.
Yep.
Even though Chase and Brian are looking for the best of what Wisconsin's Lake Winnebago has to offer.
Got the other line too, but we got the fish.
Getting lots of bites has never made for a bad day on the water.
Well, there's plenty of that size in Winnebago, but we're definitely looking for bigger ones.
Yeah,
we'll get into them.
For sure.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people, you know, a bait the size of a number 9 flicker minnow like that, I think it's typically for a bigger fish, but obviously the small fish too have no problems eating them. So
Trolling an open water basin isn't entirely a stab in the dark when it comes to locating schools of walleyes.
oh, I just had one hit, man.
While marking fish by speed trolling or by just fishing is good, there are actually a few more tricks in these pros tournament bags that take an even closer look at where to start and why.
There we go.
That's a nice fish. It's a perfect Winnebago walleye.
Yeah, actually, we're reeling up to make another pass, and I got on the rod and just cranked it hard 4 or 5 times there, and it hit it right there. So, kind of a bonus fish.
Yep.
Finding open water fish can really be a daunting task. I mean, they literally can be located anywhere. But a real easy tip to use, especially in the first few weeks when these fish begin to move off the structure, is look at open water. Look at that mud basin that's pretty adjacent to structure. On the GPS here, there's a reef complex, and we're fishing just off that rake. We have an area that congregates fish on that reef complex, but throughout the day, maybe it warms up, they'll push off that complex and suspend in the open water. There's a lot of areas on Winnebago. Some of these reefs hold a ton of fish, so really focus on those areas that are close to rocks, close to structure when you're in search of those open water fish to help you basically delete a lot of water that's right in the middle of the basin. Yeah, there's good weight there, Brian. No doubt.
Yeah, that feels real good.
Let me get the net for you, man.
It's a nice fish, Chase.
Oh, she's staying right down under the boat.
Going up.
Oh,
There you go. There you go. That's a
He
good
came
one.
up from right under the boat. That's a really nice one.
That's a real nice
That
fish.
is a good fish. Nice.
Boy, that's a nice fish right
That's
there.
a really nice fish, man. I'll tell you what, man, you weren't kidding.
That is a good color.
Yeah.
That's a hot lure today.
He's healthy. He's healthy. He's got good length to him. Man, it's fun.
Yeah, that's a good mud fish.
Yeah, it is.
The Real Deal, real fishing information from real fishing experts, presented by Amsoil.
One of my favorite techniques to fish when I'm out on structure is something called slow death. Basically, it's just a bent hook with a crawler on it, and that bend in the hook makes the crawler spin, and that attracts walleyes to bite. What you're going to typically do on the structure is pull it behind a weighting system called a bottom bouncer. So there's a couple of key things that you got to remember when you're doing this kind of fishing. Is first of all, you've got to keep your bait moving. It's kind of in a precarious situation down there. It's getting dragged along. If you make too sharp of a turn or slow down your engine too much, plunk, it's going to fall over on the bottom. It'll be dragging. It won't be doing what you want it to do. So keeping the boat moving and keeping it moving along smoothly are real important, and that's where this XI5 trolling motor is really an invaluable aid. What I like to use on the XI5 when I'm slow death fishing, bottom bouncer fishing, is something called heading lock. And basically what heading lock does is I can get my motor pointed the way that I want it to go, get it to going the speed I want to go, in this case just so that crawler is turning, and then I can just simply hit heading lock, and it's a simple little button right here on the key fob here, and when it's in heading lock, it will keep going that direction it's pointed until I adjust it. I'm going to watch my depth finder or watch the contour lines on my GPS, and as I've got to make a little bit of an adjustment to keep it to a certain depth, I'm going to just simply use the right and left buttons to hold on the brake I want. But here's the real cool thing is, when I make an adjustment with the motor in heading lock, say I go to the right, the motor will turn to the right, and then as it starts to get going that direction I want it to go, it will actually straighten itself out. So it's actually cutting your boat control right in half. The second thing is that these nice turns that it's making are smooth enough that it's going to keep that bottom bouncer up and keep that bait spinning. So the beauty of the XI5 is, especially for a technique like this, when you put it in heading lock, it's going to make nice smooth turns. It's going to keep the boat going in the direction you want so that you can mess around in the boat or do whatever you got to do. You don't always got to be watching it, but it's going to keep that bottom bouncer up. It's going to keep that slow death hook spinning, and I guarantee you it'll catch more fish.
Even though Lake Winnebago shares some micro attributes of Great Lakes fishing, it also exhibits examples for walleye behavior that can be used for fishing tactics on small lakes as well.
Was this your higher line too?
Yes, it is. First one we moved up.
This one's got some decent weight to it.
It's actually mind-blowing to think that you can have a 1.5 mile long pot of fish, but regardless of the size of the school, it's all about actively monitoring and tracking the walleye's behavior, even over the course of a few hours. That can make all the difference for keeping the bite alive with better-sized fish.
Decent length to them. Well, that was interesting though, because that's one of the things in the mud here is you really got to pay attention to the graph. I mean, we were just talking before. Right. All the marks we saw were on the bottom, and then all of a sudden we started seeing some up at that 10 foot, which is about 8 feet off the bottom, and you moved it up, and it didn't take too long. Let's get that one back. Out of all the techniques to catch walleyes, I honestly think that open water trolling like we're doing here today on Lake Winnebago is one of those techniques that you really need to utilize your electronics. Huge body of water, a lot of mud, right? There's basin all over the place. But also this works on smaller inland lakes. We're at that low 70 degree water temp mark. Those fish move off a structure and go after bait that's just swimming around wherever. So you gotta be able to find those fish quick. And with suspended open water fish, you can easily mark at 20 to 30 miles an hour. But when I get in those pods and you're gonna set up for your trolling passes, really pay attention on your GPS to where you're catching the better fish. You'll actually see here in this area, we made a lot of passes here, but I've dropped 4 waypoints and it's all on the south part of that pod. And that's where all the better fish were. So what you'll find is you may have a 1.5 mile long pod of open water fish, but the better ones are in one small area that you really want to pick apart. And sonar becomes so important in any of this open water fishing, whether you're playing crankbaits like we are today or even spinners, because those fish can not only be anywhere from north, south to east, west on the lake, but they can be up and down in the water column. Because throughout the day, those marks may lift off the bottom. So if you really pay attention to your electronics and techniques like this, you can catch a lot of walleyes in open water fishing on any body of water throughout the country.
Oh, here we go, Chase. It's way back.
Oh yeah, way back.
I don't even think you have to clear the line for that one.
No, I don't. It actually looks like it took the back clip off, huh? That actually works perfectly. You can just slide it right up the middle.
This is a good fish.
It's got to be a decent one.
Yep.
These are the ones come tournament time where your knees kind of start knocking a little bit. Just hoping it's the right kind. You know it's a
Down
big
deep.
fish. There's definite weight there. Oh yeah.
That was a little higher in the water column.
I didn't feel any weird jerks though. We'll see. We will see.
He's definitely got some weight there.
Boy, he's staying down,
Boy,
Brian.
staying straight down.
Yeah, it is. Stay on, buddy.
It's coming up.
Oh yeah.
There we go! Oh, that's a quality.
That's a good one. Yeah. Oh, he kind of scared me actually a little bit. The water's dark enough that I could tell just by the way he was fighting that he was going to be an eye, but you didn't see him till he was right on the surface, and that is exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah, the water's a little dirtier here. It's hard to see him in the
Yeah,
water.
it is, and all I saw was that mouth coming up at me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what we want. That's a Winnebago beauty right there.
That's definitely a tournament fish.
Just out in 18 feet of water. I mean, that's the one thing, even when I was really young, I just remember there's marks all over creation.
Right.
You just got to get into where there's walleyes, and you can catch them like that.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury, #1 on the water. Amsoil, performance for serious adventure. Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Berkeley, catch more fish. Mustad, stay sharper longer. Lowrance, find, navigate, dominate. Motor Guide trolling motors engineered for anglers. Strike King, legacy of domination for 50 years. And Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. Topics, leading information, and tackle and techniques to make you a better angler. Presented by Mercury.
It's looking like this is going to be my last trip of the year. It's always a sad time for me, but ice fishing is just around the corner. It's a perfect time to talk about angler responsibility, and I'm talking about the transference of invasive species. I know we've all heard it before, right? But it's about taking angler responsibility. I know the way that I did it is I got into a routine, and I would suggest that for all anglers out there. Make a routine and stick with it. There's really 3 things that you want to cover. The first is pulling the plug on your boat so that the bilge drains. It's an easy thing to do. Always do it before you leave the boat landing. So that's one of the things that you want to do. The second thing is just unplug your live well. Let that water drain out right at the ramp, so that your live well is going to end up drying out over the course of time before you go to the next lake. In fact, I take it a step further. When I'm putting the boat into storage, I open my live well covers so that they can air out and dry real dry. And the last part of the equation is really easy too. Just check your trailer for weeds. If there's some weeds hanging on the trailer or on parts of the boat, just pull them off. It's so simple to do. So as anglers, we should take the responsibility. Get into your routine, keep your boat clean, help stop the spread of invasive species so we can preserve our lakes and river systems for future generations.
Water clarity plays a large role on any bite. Professional anglers Chase Parsons and Brian Dawn are using a cheat sheet of sorts to help them quickly and, more importantly, in the soupy waters of Lake Winnebago, accurately deploy their crankbaits in the water column as they mark the fish on the sonar.
That's a nice fish
Yeah,
right
it
there.
is healthy. I mean, they come bigger than that, but those are
for
nice
sure.
fish for Bago for sure right there. One of the most important things to pay attention to in open water trolling is water clarity. If you have a lot of clarity, you can get away with running your crankbaits quite a ways above the marks that you're finding on your sonar. Fish will feed in an upward fashion in open water, so run those baits above. But we're on Lake Winnebago, and we're dealing with maybe 2 foot max in clarity. And we're marking a lot of these fish over 18 feet of water, 12 to 14 feet down. So I need to make sure that we're running these number 9 flicker minnows at that 10 to 12 foot, very close to where these marks are. And for those of you who've trolled for a long time, Precision Trolling has had books, they've had stickers. You probably have some of your favorite lures so you know the exact dive curves. But once again in fishing, technology is taking over. There's actually this precision trolling app here, and it's really simple to run. I carry my phone with me fishing all the time anyway. So if I'm in that situation I was talking, I want to figure out where this Berkley flicker minnow number 9 will run. I need to run it 12 feet down. I'll simply go into Berkley, flicker minnow 9, just scan to 12 feet down, tells me I need to run 45 feet back. And the one thing to remember is that's with 10-pound XT. So make sure your line's that same diameter and you'll have that idea of where that bait's gonna go. Tune your lures in and you're gonna get to that depth. So watch out for the clarities wherever you're fishing open water, and pay attention to each bait you're using in the dive curves to keep your baits in the zone to catch fish, whether it's dirty or really clean. Oh, there's one inside board right here.
Looks like it might be the right brand.
Yeah, it does. Just a nice slow roll back. A little bit of weight there, Brian.
On the inside turn.
I like it.
There we go.
Oh yeah, you need the net on this one, Brian.
I'll get it.
This is a good fish.
Still down.
Decent fish here, boys.
Oh yeah, good
Yep.
one, real good one.
Yeah,
There we go.
That's what we're looking for. All
There
right.
we go.
Yeah, buddy. That's a good Winnebago eye right there. Oh, I kind of made a few power dives
he
on
was
me there,
active.
but that's a good fish
That's a
right
nice
there.
fish.
You know, we were fishing in the mud, and that's really what we're focusing in on, but we were kind of coming up just to the edge of where that reef is, and I think that lure was just off in the mud on that transition, but
Right, that's a nice
I mean,
quality
that's
fish.
in the board just slid back nice and slow. That's what you're looking for right there. So I guess
That's
it's a definite Winnebago walleyes eat flicker minnows.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
I can't even remember. I'm losing my mind. Catching sheephead. That right there, folks. That is what you come to Winnebago for.
I thought only you caught these.
What do you got? Oh. It's so sloppy.
Where were you on the net?
It's so sloppy. Gone. No. Is it?
Yep.
Don't worry about the tip. I can watch 6 boards. I got unbelievable peripheral vision.